When we talk about communicating, straight away we think, oh yes, speaking. Whereas the other side of the coin is listening, and generally an underrated aspect. Now, you might be the one leading the conversation, asking questions and so on, but it's so important to leave the right amount of space for the other person to answer. Too often we fill that space with more questions or another comment, and the danger is we might have missed the opportunity for the other person to reply or say what was on their mind or a specific answer to that initial thing you said, and then the moment's gone. Often people feel uncomfortable with silence, and that's okay, but if you want to get to the nub of the matter, particularly if it's a sensitive subject, you have to leave the space. The other person might be ruminating on how to answer or processing how best to phrase their response. People might be about to respond, but you jump in with something else and then you've disrupted their thought process and potentially missed something crucial. I refer to the importance of this in my other video on breaking bad news, so check it out if you haven't seen it. When tough news is given and someone is processing it, you might be sitting there in silence for some moments. To you, it might feel like an eternity, but to the other person, deep in thought and even in emotion, their mind is occupied and they're not clock watching. So learn to be comfortable with that silence. What you feel is 5 minutes might only actually be 15 seconds. By breaking the silence too early, a key moment may be lost. And anyway, anything you do say might not even land as the other person's mind is elsewhere. If the silence really is unbearable or you do need to move things on, easy ways in are just gentle nudges such as take your time, I'm here if you need. Or you could even ask, what's on your mind? What are you thinking? Being quiet doesn't mean you're not active or engaged in the conversation. You should still hold the space. In very difficult situations with someone going through a challenging time, often what that family member, friend or colleague needs is just your presence, not your words. Silence is essential for expressing empathy and understanding as well as respect. There are instances where holding your nerve and not filling the space will serve you. For example, in a negotiation, an offer might be on the table, the person least comfortable with the silence might break it first, show their hand or want to move the negotiation on. In a different situation, if we find ourselves in a discussion and got our point across and the other person is thinking, the danger is to keep hammering home your point, even if you've won. Sit on your metaphorical hands, resist the temptation to continue pushing your argument. Let the other person come to their own conclusion from the discussion. You can undo all the good work by just repeating your argument again and again or pushing them too hard, and then they might revert to their position and dig their heels in. To paraphrase Shakespeare, silence persuades where speaking fails. Silence and pausing can also give power to things you say. For instance, in public speaking, to emphasize a point. Isolating a word or phrase makes it stand out. The pause might come just before, which will create a sense of anticipation in the listener, or if it comes after, it can allow the message to sink in and land before moving on. Silence and pausing also helps you gather your thoughts before speaking, gives you an extra few moments to focus and think clearly before saying what you might regret. Silence is a useful tool to avoid problems. The power of silence has long been known, which is why you find lots of literary or philosophical sayings on the matter. Silence speaks volumes. Still waters run deep. Empty vessels make the most sound. So, in summary, learn to feel comfortable with silence. Leave space for people to think. Silence can give the chance for important information or feelings to be revealed. And finally, speech is silver, silence is golden.